Hi guys, this is Doma. Welcome back to my channel of Books and Soul. I want to talk to you today about a book that I just finished recently. It is called The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. It's a book written by Henry James at the end of the 19th century. It's considered to be a classic of the ghost story, horror fiction, and there's definitely a lot of Gothic motifs in this book. It's been influenced by works like Jane Eyre, for example, by Charlotte Bronte, and it's a strange book to talk about for me because I feel like anything that I say can spoil this book, or in some way I can give stuff away, and I definitely don't want to do that because the beauty of this book is precisely this, not knowing much going into it. To summarize the plot a little bit, it's basically, the book is about a young governess, a very young governess who accepts a job at Bly Manor, an estate, a very wealthy and expensive estate, where she is to take care of two children, Flora and Miles. There's just one condition as she accepts this job, and that is to not disturb ever the master, to never disturb him, make sure that she takes care of everything without bothering him and without worrying him, because he's got his own affairs to take care of and he needs somebody to take care of his niece and nephew and then leave him alone. That's the condition. She goes and she accepts this job and she takes care of Flora and Miles, and strange things begin to happen. The book is written in first-person narrative, except for a little snippet at the beginning where we have a guy telling us this story by a fireplace. So, but once he introduces us to he gives us the context of the story, then it's a first-person narrative because it's as if he's reading the letters and the story written down by the governess. It's a first-person narrative, so we have the point of view of the governess only, and we're in her head all the time. One of the striking qualities of this book, one of the things that are interesting in this book, I think, is that it is so ambiguous. The dialogues we get, and there are a few other characters. I mean, there's Flora, Miles, the governess, there's Mrs. Gross, and then we meet other characters as well. And the few dialogues that we get are so unclear. They are so implicit. Sometimes you're reading a dialogue and you're like, wait, what are they saying? How are they understanding each other? Some of the language is so implied. It's like you got to figure out what the other one's trying to say. And when somebody has a question, they're never asked directly. There's always like a roundabout way of asking things, and they're never fully answered. So we are, as the reader, we're in this state of ambiguity. We don't know sometimes what these characters mean, or we kind of think we do, but we're not sure because it's kind of all open to interpretation. Because it's never so explicit that you can say, okay, this is what they meant. And just to maybe show you this, let me just read you a little tiny snippet, okay, of this little dialogue between Miles, the boy, and the governess. And so I'm just gonna go through, I'll just go through the dialogue, skipping a little bit the descriptions that are there, but this is one of the examples. "And you can't say I've not been awfully good, can you?" "No, I can't say that, Miles. Except just that one night, you know." "That one night? Why, when I went out of the house." "Oh, yes, but I forget what you did it for." "You forget? Why, it was to show you I could." "Oh, yes, you could." "And I can again." "Certainly, but you won't." "No, not that again. It was nothing." "It was nothing, but we must go on." And then just a little bit way down, "Don't you then love our sweet Flora? If I didn't, and you too, if I didn't." "Yes, if you didn't? Well, you know what? Does my uncle think what you think?" "How do you know what I think?" Well, of course I don't, for it strikes me you never tell me. But I mean, does he know?" "Know what, Miles?" Okay, so this is just one example of a conversation that takes place, and there is this implicitness in the answers and the questions. You know, but you know what? And then nobody knows anything anymore. So nobody really knows how to respond, or everything's implied, or at least to some part implied. and so open to interpretation, which is very interesting from the point of view of the reader. The second thing that I found interesting in this book, this is interesting theme in this book, is that of a burden and a psychological, emotional, physical strain. Why? Because this governess is really young. She's like 20 or 21 or something. She's very, very young. She comes from the countryside. She's never lived in an estate before, and so she's not used to living in an estate, running an estate, because technically that is kind of what the master asks of her, is to, you know, never disturb him and just take care of things. And so she's at this remote estate. She's all alone, except for the few people that are there, the staff, let's say. There's Mrs. Gross, who she confides in and is her friend in many ways. But, you know, she's an older lady, a housekeeper, and so she finds herself in this estate completely alone. Any contact, I guess, with the exterior world that they have is on Sundays they go to church, and so maybe there she meets people from the village, from the town, but that's that. So she suddenly finds herself in this situation where so much is being asked of her. At the beginning, she was supposed to take care only of Flora, but later Miles also comes along. So now she has two children that she needs to take care of and raise and educate. And all of this she has to do without disturbing the master. For her, disturbing the master is almost like admitting that in some way she's failing, or in some way she's letting down and disappointing the master. And I think this is interesting to take into account and to look at when one reads this book, because it can explain many things, and it can also shed light on many things that are taking place later on in the plot of the book. Okay, so hopefully so far I haven't spoiled anything. The third thing, because this is a ghost story, it's a horror story, so you know there's going to be some weird stuff going on. And the other theme that I think is interesting in this book is definitely being explored here by Henry James, is that of evil and corruption, corrupting the innocent. Here in this book, when we meet Miles and Flora, they are described to us by the governess as the most beautiful children. They are almost angelic, okay, almost as if they could never do wrong. They're the perfect image of innocence and beauty and sweetness. I mean, the words she uses to describe these children, they're pretty much on that level. And so when weird things begin to happen, one of the main things that this governess wants to do is make sure these little angels are protected, that they in no way can encounter evil or get corrupted or see things that they should not be seeing, or see things that, you know, could scare them and make them aware that there's anything evil that can take place or that can hurt them or corrupt them. So there's this idea of protecting these children at all costs. It's one of the things that the governess takes upon herself. It's like her mission there. And it's interesting because in all of this, there is this mystery surrounding this place. There's this mystery, this veil of mystery, because there are secrets from the past. And the more this governess finds out, the more worried she gets and the more eager to, you know, to protect and defend. So yes, a lot of Gothic elements. As you can see, we have the secluded mansion, the governess that goes to this mansion, which is mysterious, has secrets from the past that need to be unveiled. There's dark motifs going through the story. There's ambiguity. It's a really good, I mean, it's definitely a classic ghost and horror story, and definitely more, I would say, on the psychological side. Henry James has this way with words. He really plays around with ambiguity, and a lot is open to interpretation, but I think that is what makes this book so good. It's clearly done on purpose. It's clearly what Henry James wanted and what his aim was. The Turn of the Screw, I really recommend it, highly recommend it. I think it's a fun read. It's a good read. It's definitely an interesting read, and if you want a book that will make you wonder and make you ask questions even after you finish it, then this is definitely a book you should pick up. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please subscribe, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye!